What's going on, y'all? KM Best here, and I've got a big announcement. Everything is changing. TLDW, I have accepted a contracted position with the marketing department of Second Dinner. Now, longtime viewers may be familiar with the position that ItsGuestGaming recently accepted. I believe I will be working in a fairly similar role and capacity with maybe some different subspecializations within that role. Obviously, I am first and foremost overjoyed. It is one of my very sincere life goals to be in a position to be offered the position that I am currently about to start. And I am incredibly grateful to the people at Second Dinner who thought I would be a good addition to the team, and incredibly grateful for the opportunities I've gotten as a Marvel Snap creator to be someone who is taken seriously as a mind about this game. I'm incredibly grateful for all the people who have watched me, who have gotten me to this point, who have enjoyed what I've done, and I cannot say enough thank you to everyone who is watching this right now. I truly, truly appreciate you. I really don't know that I say it enough, and I really feel like it is the most important thing to say in a position like this. Now, I know people are going to have a bunch of questions about what this means for my content, what it means for my channel, how this is going to go in the future, and that's actually the reason I made this video, but it felt like the most important thing to say was thank you so much. I could not appreciate you more, and I truly, truly believe that I would not be here were it not for every one of you. So let's start there. Now, as for what changes, as for what may or may not be happening in the future, they've set this up as a contracted position. I am not an employee of Second Dinner. I still don't have health insurance in any way. So with all of that out of the way, what I expect to happen is they will not have any editorial control over anything that I do. I'm not going to send them this video. I'm just going to put this video up. My content is my content. I am allowed to play whatever games I want. There is no exclusivity clause. If another game wants to sponsor me, if I want to play another game, I can absolutely still choose to do that. There is nothing in the contract preventing me from doing that. What I will be doing is helping out with various aspects of marketing. I'm not sure I'm allowed to divulge those specifically, but I would expect it to be a little bit more behind the scenes than would be expected from someone with sort of my communication profile. I don't want people to expect that I'm just going to go in there and just start tearing things up from day one, because I've talked to a lot of people I respect and a lot of people that maybe I'll be working with in the near future, and basically all of them have told me, like, you're gonna have to take a breath, you're gonna have to slow down, it's gonna be slow to start out, you're gonna have to get your feet under you, you need to understand the process before you start jumping in head first. And the kind of person that you are, 100% of the people I've talked to about this opportunity have said you are going to try to dive in head first, and you are going to hit your head on the concrete at the bottom of the pool floor. And so I'm trying very hard to not put myself in the position of hitting my head on the concrete at the bottom of the pool floor, because I dove in and it was 3 feet deep. But I am obviously extremely excited. I think you can probably tell. So for me, this is a chance to get my foot in the door and try to build a career out of this, which is something I honestly never thought possible. Without getting too personal here, I am not the kind of person who is built for desk jobs in a real way. Whether you want to credit that to unmedicated ADHD or whatever, I am someone who traditionally has pursued alternate means of employment, like streaming, like content creation, because that's sort of the skill set I'm built for. I'm built for a more freewheeling environment. And so obviously going into an environment like this is going to be an adjustment period for me. In terms of how it affects my content, I do not believe that anything will change majorly. I expect to still be able to give my own opinions on cards. There has been no discussion of like, hey, you can't call a card bad anymore. That's not on the table. Nobody's even mentioned it. It is just not a thing that they would expect from me. I am not making my channel into a vehicle for their opinions. My channel is and always has been a vehicle for my opinions. That is not going to change. What could change going into this is that while this is a part-time position, there are an amount of hours per week that are now spoken for by this opportunity that were not previously spoken for in my workflow. And that is, I think, an important distinction as well. I don't plan on making less content because of this, but I do plan on making sure I don't sabotage myself by focusing on my content and not on the job. These are things that are of equal importance to me, and it is important to me that I find a balance between them. So that's all to say, I don't plan on making less content, but if it happens that my hours work out such that I am forced to do a few less streams per month, that is an entirely possible outcome. As far as editorial stuff, I'm still going to be me. I'm KM Best. I talk about Marvel Snap cards. I say what's good. I say what's bad. I still plan on being able to do hot takes, and I think this is also an important thing. I plan on retaining as much of my voice as I possibly can, because the things I say on this channel in the future are my opinion and not Second Dinner's opinion, and do not represent Second Dinner in any way. Nothing I say represents them, and that cuts both ways. That means that if I say something, they're not responsible for it. It also means that if they say something, I do not necessarily have to agree with or parrot that opinion. And I think it's important to maintain that distance as much as I can. I think it's very possible that over the course of this opportunity, my opinions on things will change because I will learn things that I previously did not know. I think it would be kind of ridiculous if I had a perfect idea of how things functioned from the outside. That would be a pretty arrogant assumption, even for someone like me to make. So I do expect things to change, but I don't expect them to be fundamental changes in the way of my voice or the things that I'm saying or anything like that. I fully expect to be able to continue operating mostly as I have and have that editorial independence in that way. Now, I do think that this is an opportunity for me to try to be a bit of a better person in terms of steel manning the arguments against me. And what I mean by that is I have two real role models in public facing jobs, maybe three. The first is Glenn Jones, the second is Ridiculous Hat, and the third is Drew Levin. And Glenn Jones is the person that I think most people here will be familiar with. So we're going to talk about it and using an example of Glenn. Glenn was always incredible at seeing a question and ask the team and ignoring any sort of invective surrounding it, ignoring any sort of negative implications, and just saying, what is this person actually upset about? What is the kernel of the thing that has made them upset that maybe they're hyperbolizing, but that's not my job to tell them they're hyperbolizing. It's my job to actually answer the question that they are having, right? And I think that like that's particularly a growth area for me that I really want to be focusing on in the near future. So look out for that. If we still do hot takes, they're definitely going to be like a lot more of me saying like, okay, here's what I think you're saying. Here's what the best possible version of your argument is, rather than sort of meeting you on the level of whatever argument you're making. A lot more of assumed good faith is sort of an area that I'm trying to focus on in this. And I think Glenn Jones was incredible at that. And I also want to be clear, I am not replacing Glenn Jones. I am taking the first step on a path that in 10 years might end up with me being half as useful as Glenn Jones is now. I have an unbelievable amount of respect for the work that those people were able to do. I am an internet native, but to be an internet native without getting poisoned by cynicism the way Glenn was able to do, I think that is an incredible thing. That is something I am going to explicitly be striving for in a role like this. I don't know when that will happen. I don't know when I'll be doing any of this stuff. I expect a lot of my first month to 3 months, honestly, will just be me watching and absorbing how things are done at this company. And then you won't really notice anything different, except maybe maybe things will start happening a little bit smoother, a little bit more in my way. I don't know. I do not know. I really am excited for this opportunity. It gives me the opportunity to follow in the footsteps of a role model of mine from way far behind. And I think that is an incredible thing. And hopefully you guys are as excited for me as I am for this, because as I said at the beginning, I kind of think the most important thing is I would not be in this position were it not for you. And I truly appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much. And I will see you in the next one.